friendo, welcome back to my shithole of a channel. This video is incredibly late. I wanted to do these sort of talky videos on Fridays, but I am an enormous procrastinator and it just didn't get done, okay? So we're doing it on a Saturday today. But it's also late for another reason, and that is that Suicide Squad has been out for a number of months. I went and saw it last week, but I'm only doing the video now. And before we get started, I just wanted to preface it by saying, not a film critic, only completed a year, film school not even. I flunked out at the end of the first year, so I really only completed a semester. And you know, I'm just a basic layman with this, and this opinion isn't going to be, you know, overly informed or anything like that. This is just like me talking as the average consumer, because the critics have been really harsh on this movie, and the fans of the comic books have been really harsh as well, but I feel like nobody's talked about it from the standard consumer point of view, or if they have, I haven't read about it. So I just wanted to tell you what I thought of it. There are a couple of things that everyone's going to want me to talk about, this being a Suicide Squad review and all that, and it's going to be like Leto's Joker and how it reflects Heath Ledger's Joker, and the relationship between Joker and Harley Quinn, a bit about the ratings and why it was bumped down to a PG instead of an M or an R-rated movie like we were all expecting. Do we have R-rated movies in Australia? MA, I don't know. I think we have R-rated TV shows, we must have R-rated movies. But one of the main things that I just want to say straight off the bat is that while it's not a good movie being, you know, Oscar worthy or something like that, it was still an entertaining movie, which is, I think, something that people haven't given it a lot of credit for. I mean, yeah, you're not going to see it in the Oscars. It's not one of those types of movies. I mean, it's not The Dark Knight, and I think people need to stop comparing it to that, because that movie was so deep and so incredibly intense, and Heath Ledger's Joker just, you know, absolutely made it, and it was a fantastic film and it deserved all the awards that it got. But it's not part of the DC Cinematic Universe, which is what they're moving into now, and they have to try and rebrand their films to fit with this new cinematic universe that they're creating, and that universe is designed to be accessible to a wider audience, which is like with Marvel's cinematic universe, all their films were sort of PG or maybe M-rated, because they're trying to cater to families and children, and the people that are now invested in those are a much wider range of audience, as well as being all the comic book fans and things like that. And DC is trying to do the same thing. Well, this is just what I think. Like I said, I'm not informed. I don't know what's going on in the hierarchical land of film and television. But I think what they're trying to do is make it more accessible to a wider audience, and that really dark, gritty sort of movie, like the Dark Knight movies, they were amazing, especially from a film standpoint, from a scripting standpoint, and an acting standpoint. They were amazing to the academic community and the comic book community, and they were very, very dark, and there were a lot of people that didn't like that aspect about it. Like my mum was not a fan of that movie. She recognized it as being a good film, but she didn't enjoy it because of how dark and confronting it was. Whereas the new DC Cinematic Universe movies that they're making, my mum's loving them. She actually really enjoyed Batman vs Superman because she is an average consumer. She's not a film critic or a comic book buff or anything like that. And I think that's one of the main things that they're trying to do right now, and it's something that they've actually done rather well, is taking these characters that are historically dark and twisted and demented and trying to make them accessible to a new generation and a wider range of people. I think this is something that I actually talked about in the last Friday talkie video I did, where I talked about why I didn't go well in film school, because I am not that interested in the Oscar movies, I'm interested in the entertaining movies. And I think that's a big thing of why I actually did like Suicide Squad, was because while I can appreciate the Oscar movies, and I do see them for what they are, being Oscar movies and being incredibly intricate and beautifully put together, I still want my movies to be entertaining, which is something that a lot of those Oscar movies struggle with, and maybe people who like art house cinema more will appreciate that sort of Oscar aspect and find that very entertaining to look at. But yeah, like I said, I'm an average consumer and I want to be entertained by my movies, If they are great movies as well, that's fantastic. Like Birdman was a fantastic movie. It was so well put together and the acting was spot on. I loved the whole continuous style of it, just running through their lives. That was incredible. And it was also an entertaining movie because I felt invested in the characters. Some Oscar-worthy movies are Oscar-worthy because of the way that they were made, but I didn't find them engaging and I didn't want to learn more about the characters. I was purely watching it for reasons of study and such. But Suicide Squad was still an entertaining movie, even if it wasn't a good movie. And that's one of the things that I think it's being shot down a lot for. One of the things that has obviously been to Suicide Squad's detriment is the amount of hype that was built up around it. And it was one of the single most hyped movies of the year. There was magazines posting about it and all the articles, and a lot of that came from the fact that there was going to be a new Joker, and Heath Ledger was such an amazing Joker, and his Joker had so much impact on the people who watched the movies, and the fans who read the comic books found him so incredible and so true to character, and it was such an original take on the Joker compared to what had been done before in like the Tim Burton movies and the cartoons and things like that. It was so much darker and so much deeper, and he had so much more personality to him, I would say. He was less of a caricature than he was in, say, the cartoons and the comic books, because he was supposed to be the Joker. He was supposed to be light but also deep and kind of crazy, whereas Heath Ledger's Joker was very confronting and the world is bleak and dark and everything is horrible, but you still need to be able to laugh and smile, and it was such a... I don't even know how to talk about it, just because his Joker was so... like, in my head, that's the pinnacle of what the Joker should be. And the reason that Suicide Squad was hyped up so much by all the press and all the fans and everything like that was because we were getting a new Joker and everyone wanted to see if he could live up to it. And Jared Leto, or Leto, however the hell you say his name, I've been told 20 different ways. Jared Leto is such I guess an unknown factor. I haven't seen him do a lot of acting. I mean, I know him from 30 Seconds to Mars, that's where I know him from, so to see him in an acting role was a very different thing. One of the things I think really hurt that performance was all the hype that was built up around it, because everywhere you looked there was the Joker, and all the commercials you looked at, it looked like the Joker was going to be this big main villain, and you were all super excited to see how he was going to do and how he was going to perform, and what was he going to be like Heath Ledger, or was he going to be like Jack Nicholson, or how was it going to come up? And I was really excited for that too, but then you go to see the movie and he's basically been downgraded to a cameo, which was really upsetting. I know it was really upsetting for me, because I was super excited to see what he was going to do with it, and I was really excited to see whether someone could fill the big shoes left by Heath Ledger, but that he's barely even there. I think he had maybe 5 scenes in the whole movie, and that was endlessly frustrating. My main thought on Jared Leto's Joker is just that he kind of, in trying to top Heath Ledger's Joker, he sort of took all the aspects that were really subtle and downplayed and just made Heath Ledger's Joker a really interesting villain, because it was so subdued and so controlled, like he was keeping all this madness inside of him and trying to let it out in these small ways, like just the burning of the money or things like that, and everything else he still had some sort of deep hidden moral to what he was trying to do and what he was trying to accomplish, like showing the world that the Batman was just as dirty as the rest of them, and that there's no good or evil, that the entire world is shades of grey and things like that. That was what everyone was a little bit twisted. That was what Ledger's Joker was trying to convey and trying to teach Batman, and he still had some clear motive that he was trying to do. Whereas when I was watching Suicide Squad, sorry that the lighting keeps changing, I only got my windows open, I don't have any lights set up or anything. But when I was watching Suicide Squad and we had Leto's Joker, I felt like he took all that controlled madness that Ledger's Joker handled so well and then just threw it out into the open. Like, he didn't care to restrain himself that way anymore. Like, he was just... like, he drew with marker around his face and he laid out all the knives and things, and it was all just a bit... there. Like, it was too much. I felt like that was what I liked about Ledger's Joker so much, was that it made him more interesting to try and see that darkness in him that he was so tightly controlling but still so obviously there, whereas Jared Leto's Joker was just plain psychotic. I felt like he was a very thin character to work with, just because see how frustrated I'm getting trying to talk about it? I still enjoyed the movie. Like I've been saying, still enjoyed the movie. I thought it was very entertaining. But this was the thing that I was so excited for, and it just, like, it wasn't there. His Joker was just downright psychotic, and that, for me, felt like I wasn't looking at a person. It was back to being this, okay, what's the textbook definition of psychotic, and how can we just, like, throw that in someone's face? And, you know, if that was what they were trying to do, they did it very well. I mean, Jared Leto, I think he did good with the acting thing. I just feel like his character wasn't as well developed as Heath Ledger's Joker was, and I couldn't see what he was trying to accomplish beyond getting Harley back. Like, he was a leader of a street gang or something like that, and that's how Jack Nichol's Joker started out, but even his Joker had a clear transition from I am being a street gangster to I am a supervillain, whereas Jared Leto's Joker just sort of was, and I couldn't see how he was trying to, what was he trying to accomplish in taking on Argus? Was that what it was called, Argus? I think that was what it was called in Arrow, but I don't know if it was the same in Suicide Squad. But what he was trying to accomplish in taking on Argus, and why Batman was involved in the first place, because he was chasing them all over the shop. And it was just very, I couldn't see where he was trying to go, and I can't see where he's going from here. I mean, obviously he's got Harley back now, so I'm hoping for a movie of those two that will, you know, clarify what they were up to before all this, other than Joker was, you know, in Arkham Asylum and Harley was this therapist or whatever, and she fell in love with him, and then he tortured her into insanity or whatever. That was very interesting scene, but still, I didn't see anything in Joker that made me go, I really love this character, like I did with Ledger. I found his character fascinating, whereas I felt like Jared Leto's character was just sort of there. The romantic subplot between Flag and Enchantress felt very forced because there wasn't enough room for them, and you didn't really see it develop, which is something that I find to be the most entertaining in movies. It's gonna make me sound like a complete girl, but in movies and in TV shows and in books, I love seeing the characters get to know each other and, you know, sort of slowly fall in love before they actually get together, and then seeing the struggles of their relationship. In this movie, we kind of just got thrown in, like, these two are together and this is their relationship now. And in doing that, I couldn't empathize with the characters. It made Colonel Flag feel like a plot device to try and get the Suicide Squad guys to go after Enchantress when they'd all kind of given up and went, fuck you, Argus. And, you know, that might just be, I mean, he might just be a plot device. I don't know, like I said, layman's opinion. But that is not something that I enjoy seeing in my movies, is just having characters fall in love for the sake of having a romantic subplot. It's the inciting incident thing, is she runs away, like the doctor gets possessed and then runs away, and Colonel Flag is like, well, I have to get my girl back. And it's like they did the same sort of thing in the Avengers with Coulson, in that he died and then all the Avengers went, well, now we actually have something to avenge, don't we? But I still think Coulson was better developed than their love story just because he was in more movies, and maybe that is the problem here, is that it's only been one movie. And I really am looking forward to seeing what they do with the characters in the future, because I hope it'll clear up some of the plot holes that they've left here, or maybe not plot holes, but maybe it'll just help fill out the characters a bit more, because I don't read the comics. The only DC comics I'm familiar with are Batman Year One, Superman Earth One, and then like the Heroes comics, because I love the TV show. But I'm really excited to see where they go from here. And even though the DC Cinematic Universe had a bit of a rough start, I'm hoping that they can pull themselves together because I do enjoy the characters, even if I'm not familiar with the comics. I do know enough about the characters to know that I like them, and I do want to see more of what they're going to do. So I can only hope that they get over this rough patch and start making amazing movies like they did before. Basic takeaway is, if you are a film critic who's going to nitpick every tiny little detail of the story, you're probably not going to enjoy it. If you're someone who's very familiar with the comic books, try and see it as a separate entity because it is someone else's interpretation of a canon that does already exist. And you're never really going to get an interpretation that's entirely accurate to the canon, so maybe try and see it as a new work or a new chapter in a story. Like, you have alternate universes in a whole bunch of comics. Like, I know in the Marvel universe you have 616, which is the main universe, then you have the Ultimates, and then you have all these other parallel universes that Reed Richards and all the Fantastic Four characters visit all the time. So maybe just treat it as a pocket universe or something like that. If you're just the average consumer like me who's just in it for a good adventure flick, then yes, it is definitely worth your time. It was good fun. Loved the colors, actually. Like, the whole really bright neon thing that they had going on throughout the film was awesome. I loved it. I did enjoy Deadshot's character. I haven't watched a Will Smith movie that I enjoyed in quite a long time, but I think he did a good job on this one. Jared Leto's Joker was interesting, but not the best take that I had, and I definitely don't like him as much as I did Heath Ledger, but what were you expecting me to say, really? And Margot Robbie, you know, I don't like sexualizing the character, but fuck, she's hot. But she's also a great actor, so if you're down for a little bit of adventure, even if it's not highly recommended by the critics, it still was an awesome movie, and I would recommend that you give it a go. Anyway, let me know what your thoughts on Suicide Squad were. This has been a long, rambling, well, for me, 30 minutes. I'm probably gonna edit a lot of stuff out. But yes, it's been a long, rambling 30-minute discussion on why I did and didn't like the movie. If you enjoyed this video, why not give it a like and maybe subscribe to see more of this ridiculousness. I make videos whenever I damn well please, though I am trying to get at least one up a week, which is why this one is incredibly late. I'm so sorry, I don't normally upload on Saturdays. But yes, there will be a video on Monday. I'm trying my hardest to get one done. So I will see you in the next one. But for now, bye guy. Oh, fuck. That is so much talking. How do, like, video game bloggers do it? I can't with the... There's so much words and my throat is dry and I'm tired now. Oh, my little introvert heart can't take it.